Hi everyone, and welcome to another Decorate With Us. It was a gorgeous weekend a couple weekends ago, so I decided I'd do something a little bit different and we'd take you on a garden tour. This is part of Grandma Sandy's open collaboration Garden Tour Saturdays. So I'm going to zoom in here to show you that I do have some bulbs starting to already shoot out some new growths. And these are just natural ferns that grow here in Washington State. Right now they're looking gorgeous, but we will cut them down in just a few weeks. And this is the earliest that these have ever bloomed. They bloom these sweet little clusters of blue flowers. And you can see here I've got some bulbs getting ready to bloom. And then in amongst this cluster of tulips and daffodils, I have some sweet little yellow flowers. And if we come across the walk, I've got a better cluster of them over here. And looking down the walkway, I have the walkway lined with helleborises. All of the open space where you see just dirt will be hostas once they get up and thriving and growing. So you can see here I'm zooming in on a helleboris, and when it ages it's this gorgeous chartreuse color, but when it starts out it's this bright white, and it keeps the burgundy maroon speckled center even when it ages out to the chartreuse green. And I'm just going to kind of take you in and show you a close-up view of each of the different varieties that I have planted in our garden. This one is a red one. I believe it's called Anna's Red, but I might be wrong on that. These ones here are a more compact form. They only get about 12 inches tall, and they are called a Jericho. I love these ones because they don't have the nodding heads. Their heads actually sit upright so you can see the flowers better, which technically aren't even flowers. I'll get into that if I do another garden tour this summer. This evergreen we planted last fall, and it is doing great. And then I'll just take you in for some more views of these sweet little blue flowers. And you can see here, this one is a lighter blue. In comparison to this one over here. Moving right along, we've got another evergreen planted here that we just planted last fall, so it's doing great. Some ferns. Now these ones aren't native. I've got my two lollipop spruces, which I also planted last year and are doing great. And then a huge cluster of bulbs planted in front of either one of them, or each one of them, I guess. And you can see here I've got a little tulip bulb getting ready to bloom. And some daffodils. These ones are really cool. They bloom up in little clusters of 3. And then this needs some cutting back, but it's already starting to do its thing for the new year. And you can see this area. Originally we were going to have a fire pit there, but we're going to do something else in the circle. But you can see all the bulbs. All these gorgeous daffodils blooming. This is part of a golden earring series from Color Blends. The sticks you see are sumacs, tiger stripe, and staghorns, and they will take a little while to get going. They don't start budding out as early as some of the other stuff in our garden does. flowering thunderclouds are all in bloom. I will give you a view of them in just a minute. In this corner back on the right hand side, up close to the fence, is a nandina, and then we have our umbrella pine that eventually will be massive. So here's a view of one of our flowering thunderclouds. And here's a view of the strip of them that we have planted behind our shop. Moving right along, this is the flower bed next to our shed on the opposite side of our driveway. And I do have some bulbs coming up here too. Got some gorgeous white hyacinth blooms. Add some daffodils. And our magnolia is getting ready to bloom. You can see here the bud is starting to pop open. And this is our 9-bark, which is also producing some leaves. In our front flower beds here, we have an evergreen that we planted a couple years ago. I do have some hens and chicks in the corner, and then I have these gorgeous bright red and yellow tulips. And these are a naturalizing tulip. I got them from Color Blends, and I can't remember the variety. We did get gnomed by our neighbor, the same neighbor that if you watched any of our Christmas series, we grinched during Christmas. She came over and gnomed us with that cute little gnome. And here's another view of the naturalizing tulips. They do stay nice and compact and short like this. And this is the flower bed on the opposite side of our front porch. I have some hebes planted along the front. I want to actually get enough so that it's almost a border on the edge, but they actually are really difficult to find in our area. And then in the corner, I have a blue surprise. I do have some tulips over here too. They're just a little slower to start on this side. And then under our tiger stripe maple, I have a blend of bulbs, and you can see here our tiger stripe maple is starting to bud out. Along the front edge of this flower bed, I have black mondo grass. I do have some heucheras in here, some evergreens, some burning bushes, and some bulbs. And this summer, there'll be some rudbeckias and a whole bunch of summer color that will come in. So it's not actually this open dirt space that you see all year round. Got some wallflower here that I do need to cut back, and a couple nandinas on either side of a burning bush, and then a cluster of Japanese maples. And I did have a volunteer viola grow in my hanging basket. This is a tree that we planted last year, the evergreen, and the maple we planted 2 years ago. You can't really see it on camera even when I zoomed in, but it's got this striking color when it starts to bud out its leaves because its branches are burgundy and its leaves start almost look like silverish blue color. And I have bulbs planted along the back side of the walk. And here I have a few pansies and violas that at this point are not the one varieties that I originally planted, but are varieties that basically they were hybrids. So these are the original varieties that they were bred from. And on this stretch, we also have a bunch of bulbs and a mondo grass line. The mondo grass I love because it stays evergreen. And these are white daffodils. Got some more hyacinths. I have white and yellow. And And then this was a new flower bed that we put in last year. So almost everything back here is a fresh planting, and everything did great through the winter. So that's really exciting to see. We do have a lot of filling in this area left to do. But plants aren't cheap, so it's kind of a one step at a time. We focused on evergreens last year. And I know it's hard to see. The smoke haze combined with the angle the sun's coming in is making this view absolutely horrible. But along my fence line here, I have basically what's my cut flower bulb garden. It was a bunch of bulbs that were in colors that I don't necessarily want in our garden, but I wanted to be able to use for cut flowers. And until this area fills in, it's acting as my space to do that. So I have these pretty pink and white striped hyacinths blooming right now. But I do have tulips and I think even some daffodils back here as well. And the mole's already been up to no good. You can see it right here. The cracks in the dirt is the mole's path. And I actually discovered it because you can see I was standing in his path when I was trying to give you a close-up. And here is where he pushed up out of the dirt. If I flip around, this is the view back into our yard, and we've got a few evergreens planted there also. And this is a Twombly's Red Sentinel Maple, and it is starting to bud out. It is a columnar maple that is great as a container tree. I'm giving you another view here of our poodle dog, or our poodled evergreen. And these evergreens are snow sprites, and then I have a blue surprise on the opposite side. Right here I have a fire chief arborvitae, which eventually we're going to carry this all the way down the wall. But right now I have some heucheras planted here, and you can see they're starting to get some new leaves, so I do need to come in and clean up all the dried leaves. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks for joining me on this garden tour. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I hope you're having a great day.